What is up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to episode 16 of the Eyes Wide Open podcast. I am your host, Kiah. Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about patterns and cycles in your life. I really wanted to come on here and speak about this and how identifying some of these can help you heal a lot of things that you've been going through in your life. So we're going to talk about it. I got a little bit of resourceful information for you too. So stick around because it's on the way. Cue the intro. Okay, guys, welcome back to episode 16 of the Eyes Wide Open podcast. I don't know what we're calling this, maybe patterns and cycles, cycles and patterns, something of something, I don't know. But let's get these social media handles out of the way. If you would like to follow me on, where is this? YouTube. It's Eyes Wide Open podcast. I'm also available on Anchor and Spotify and Apple iTunes podcast situation. So go there and look for me under Eyes Wide Open podcast. And it's me in a pretty dressy, okay? And then if you would like to follow me personally on Instagram or Twitter, Twitter is at Vonkiah M, and Instagram is going to be at Vonkiah, and then the podcast page on Instagram is at Eyes Wide Open Pod. So now that we got that out of the way, let us get into our episode. I'm pumped up, I'm excited, I'm ready. I have been working on this episode for a little while, just like thinking about how I wanted to bring this to you guys. And to be quite frank and quite honest, I just knew I needed to come candidly. A lot of times, you guys know I have like my little phone of notes. I don't even have that today. That's just chilling. I feel like I've ran through this enough times in my head about how I feel about some of these different things and what I want to share with you guys. So I'm just going to start going. You know what I mean? No, this isn't sponsored by Smart Water, but if you haven't had the watermelon mint kind, ooh, it's so good. Like, so bomb as a water. And I think they have a blackberry flavor too that I'm itching to try. So, anywho, let's discuss patterns and cycles. So, I feel as though there came a point in my life when I noticed the same thing was happening to me. But with like different people or different time of year, it's like I was having deja vu. And I'm like, oh, why does this feel so familiar? Why does this feel so familiar? Or this feels like just like then this happened to me. It's because we have a tendency as beings, as humans, we can become creatures of habit. And that can be in our day-to-day lives, as well as our relationships with people, our habits with people, how we treat people, and what we do. So, you may never notice that you, for instance, choose specific type of friends. And what you like about those friends is they speak to this side of you, or a particular part of you, who you are. You may be well developed in that area, and that may be great, but then you may be less developed in another area, and so over time, that less developed area gets highlighted. Like if you need to become, let's say if you're just like not outgoing at all, but you probably need to get out a little bit more, but you don't have like any outgoing friends ever. You stray away from people like that because you're like, nope, not my thing. I'm not getting around them. You've now ingrained yourself into like a little pattern of dealing with people who only are similar to what you currently go through. Now, this can happen and vice versa too. You could end up dealing, of course, the wind wants to go cuckoo. No! Please calm down for me just a little bit. I just want to record. That's all. And you pick up even more. Don't you love it? Anyway, guys. So, as I'm saying, you can end up being in a friendship where it's vice versa. And I'm just using friendship as an example. But essentially, when really you need to be putting yourself around experiences that speak to a less developed area of yourself. So maybe you need to be around people who are a little more outgoing, a little more free, who are still understanding that there's a boundary for you. Like, there's only so much that you're trying to step completely out of your like chill bubble, right? Because we're all who we're going to be. I am very, very, very outgoing, but it was so beneficial for me to have friends who were chill because they helped me calm down. They helped me relax, you know what I mean? But as equally as important as it was for me to have those friends, it was also very important for me to have friends who were outgoing and spoke to that side of me too. But if I only ever surrounded myself with those people who were on the go, 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 yes, it's my personal responsibility, but of course we are all impacted by interactions and people that we interact with and things we interact with. So not having people around me who I could learn from, essentially. Sometimes you do this in relationships, actual relationships. You may pick the same type of partners all the time because you're like, well, that's my type. You have to learn how to like break the pattern or break the cycle. Like, why do you feel like that is your type? Sometimes stepping out of the mold of like what you think, or the cycle or the pattern, stepping off that wheel of like, well, that one didn't work, so I'm gonna keep running down the same road. Like, stop it. You're not going anywhere but the same direction, the same road, the same people, and you're never really gauging how to like learn something new or pick up something new, or asking yourself like, okay, well, what does that person have to offer me? Like, what can I learn from that person? What can I taught from that person? A lot of times it's really good to surround yourself with people you can learn from. So like, even if you've only taken like a small amount of something, for instance, your friends who are always on the go and you're always on the go, and you know that's who you are like 80% of the time, right? Well, what about that other underdeveloped 20% that doesn't know how to relax, doesn't know how to chill, doesn't know how to take time for themselves, or a moment comes where you then have to switch from being an 80-20 to a 60-40? And you've now taken 60% of your go time, and that's it. So that 40%, maybe if you had been around some people who you could learn from, you begin to learn how to develop that a little bit more. Like, oh wow, they do a lot of really interesting things in their solitude, in their alone time, in their time of relaxation of self. They're not boring. They just know how to do things this way. It's a really amazing, this wind is really aggravating me now, guys. It's starting to like, just, but essentially, you're learning how to access or to tighten up a different part of you that you didn't maybe realize needed to be tightened up. You know what I mean? Sometimes we get so stuck in how we are that we think like, this is the only way to be, or I don't need to be developed in other ways because that's not how I am. When you do, you need some like creating that balance within. Okay, so that's just among like friendships, even relationships. But now I'm talking about like personal patterns. So that would be more of like a cycle and a pattern of picking the same people over and over again. Let's talk about handling situations in the same exact manner. So you try something out, doesn't work, and you keep trying it the same way. Don't they say that's a definition of insanity? Like, I tried it this way and it didn't work, so I tried it the same way again and again and again for it to still not work for me. Like, okay, you have to ask yourself sometimes, why did I go through this many times and have this exact result without me stepping back and analyzing the situation? Sometimes you need to go into, what's in that spirit animal deck? Draft spirit, see the bigger picture? Take a step back and look at the really big picture that you are, that is your life, for instance, and say like, okay, I went through that and that happened. And then I went through that and that happened again. At some point, there's a lesson to be learned within the two times that you went through something and the same result happened. Something has to be learned. Something has to be learned about what you are doing, what you are allowing, what you're not doing, what you're not allowing. Like, there's something that you're having to learn. And that is that teacher at that moment, right? Like I don't even like to say a failure. I guess we can say a failure, or a disappointment. It's nothing but a lesson to learn. So look at the big picture, channel into your draft spirit, come up high and just look down at that whole big picture that is your life and say like, hey, what the heck is happening for me to have to repeat this cycle and repeat this cycle and repeat this cycle over and over and over again? If it's happening with a person in a friendship, if you and your friend, for instance, are always fighting about the same stuff, why are we always fighting about the same stuff? There's something that's not working in the dynamic here. We're not communicating properly, or something's not working. So there's always options. A lot of time we feel like, oh my God, I don't have another option but this. There's always options. There's always options. There's always a better way or worse way you can handle something. Trust me, I know. I have been in situations and relationships and friendships where I haven't handled stuff the right way, and I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I so could have handled that better. You know, and you live and you learn and you make better decisions next time. And sometimes it takes people being in a loop before they just finally get kicked out of the loop and they're like, oh shit. hold on. Why did I get kicked off of the loop? And then they get to sit back and just watch the loop go around and they're like, It's almost like a highlight reel of their life replaying, but it's like the same highlight over and over again. And they're like, oh snap, I've been going through a pattern and a cycle and it's the same old same. And you start to realize like, I need to change up. I got to do something different. I'm not, I'm not this perfect individual, this perfect being. Like, I've got to do something different than what I was doing, because what I was doing wasn't working for me. I got to figure this out. It's okay. It's okay. It happens to everybody. Everybody goes through this. At some point in their life, they go through it with a family member, they go through it with a friend, they go through it with a relationship, they go through it with a job, like all of us. You know what I'm saying? It's totally normal. So if you ever get to the feeling where you're feeling like defeated, like, I didn't get it, it's okay. It is normal for all of us to feel that way. And so you have to channel in that resilience and just understand like, okay, so I got knocked down. Let me get up, let me get up, let me dust myself off, get up and dust myself off. And let me reassess the situation and reassess my actions and reassess what I can do. And a lot of time we choose to look at what other people are doing. It's your pattern, it's your cycle. I challenge people to look at what they allow. If you're concerned about how a person's treating you, look at what you're allowing. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to take nothing you're not happy with, okay? You don't have to accept anything that doesn't vibe with you. You don't have to have people around you who mean you no good. And even some people mean you good and it still doesn't click right, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay. Everything doesn't have to be so like their fault, my fault. I always look at like both things can be true sometimes. Like, your perception is your perception, their perception is their perception. So you have to understand when you're looking at your pattern, your cycle, try to assess it from where you're sitting and just look at the whole big picture of like, okay, so I was manipulated by this guy. Why? You know what I mean? And I'm, as a female, I'm just using this as an example. I'm not blasting nobody. Don't nobody say I was. I'm just putting this on the table as a pure example for my ladies out there, okay? This can apply to men too. Well, women are manipulators just the same. I was manipulated by this person, and I've constantly been manipulated in situations like this. Why? Is it because I'm, allowing this, or am I being too overly this? You know what I mean? There's always ways that we can tighten up, or there's ways that we can watch ourselves, or we can protect ourselves or guard ourselves against, people who are not necessarily responsible with our feelings or our emotions, okay? You can't always expect other people to treat you in the manner in which you would treat them, even though we would all love that, but that's just not how life works. So a lot of times, in order to break those patterns or habits within yourself of allowing certain treatments to happen to you, you've got to identify what it is within you that allows other people to come in and do that to you. Is it that you don't have a strong enough boundary set as a person? I've had that problem before where I don't set firm boundaries and I feel like I'm just being sweet and kind and loving, and really I'm just effing myself later because I'm like, dang it, why didn't I set that boundary up, man? And it's okay, because it's like, okay, well, the next time that situation comes around, I'm putting my boundaries in play and nobody's gonna freaking stop me. You know what I mean? That's just how you have to be with yourself. It's like a pep talk. Like, self, look at me, self. Look at me in the eyes, self. We are not tolerating this no more. We are not tolerating X, Y, and Z, whatever your pattern is, whatever it may be. We're not tolerating it. And you have to mean it with yourself. You know what I mean? You have to care enough about yourself to honor how you feel and honor where you stand as a person. Because if you allow other people to dictate for you, you're always going to end up in a looping pattern. Again, that can totally be a pattern. See what I'm saying? I'm just putting it out there for you guys to understand and know. Patterns are real. Cycles are real. If you find yourself having deja vu and a situation is happening the exact same way over and over and over again, you might be in a karmic battle with yourself, a karmic cycle with yourself of just dealing with the same old, you guys know karma, what goes around comes around, get it? With what goes around comes around in the loop-de-loop of the karmic cycles, you see? You might be in that same battle of just allowing the same processes to happen to you again and again because you haven't changed your programming. It's like, man. So, okay, think about it in like programming like this. Like, a song is put together in this way, and it's not going to change or run any different unless the producer makes an adjustment and a cut and an edit, right? And at that point, it's going to run a little bit different. Okay? Think of yourself as the art here. You are the beautiful canvas, the piece of work that has been put on this earth. It's so beautiful. And you guys shine so brightly. You guys know you do. Y'all know I love you and think you're so beautiful. All my listeners out there. But you're lovely and you're beautiful, and you have this special something that you bring to the world, but sometimes you can't access like that full potential because you're still in this little bitty loop right here, and you need to come out of that loop like, oh look, there's a whole new side. There is. It's like you just keep missing the exit route. We just keep missing the exit route, and I've done that before. And when you do finally find that route of like, oh snap, this is the way I need to be going. You know what I'm saying? You begin to navigate your life differently. You begin to make different moves. And don't get me wrong, I've gone into a new loop, making some of the old mistakes, and I'm like, wait, no, come back, come out. I'm pulling myself out. You know what I mean? Because it's not easy to make changes and adjustments to things that we've been programmed to feel over years and years of being programmed in that way. We have, like I said, we're creatures of habit. A lot of us are like, this is the way my parents did it, or my mom did it, or blah, blah, blah. And we just get caught into the cycle of thinking a certain way. Come out of the cycle a little bit. Open your mind, expand your awareness, and understand that you don't have to do anything the same way as anybody else. You don't have to do things the way you used to do things. Don't let anybody hold you to your old self. Don't let anybody hold you to old ways of thinking if that's not how you think anymore. You can grow, you can evolve as a human. And I encourage people to do that because I feel like the more that you learn, the more that you evolve as a person, the wiser you are. You're able to help, expand the minds of all, especially through conversation, communication, and just having those interesting conversations when it comes to our cycles and our life patterns. And we do sit down and we have these talks and discussions among us, among friends, like on this podcast platform, of course. I have gotten so many different shared stories of people who are going through different, what is you doing? Sorry. People who are going through different periods of time in their life. And I always share a story about how I felt like I was just caught in a constant loop of thinking a certain way or being a certain way, acting a certain way. And the sooner and faster that I realized I didn't have to keep doing that, the better things were for me. I realized like, oh snap, I'm keeping myself trapped in this cycle because I'm not expanding my own mind and my own awareness about how I can do this, how this has been limiting me, like I never realized how limiting, and it's crazy. It's like I pride myself on being an open-minded person, but I never realized how limiting my habits or my patterns were making me. So once I started to make adjustments to those things and come through and like change patterns and be like, oh, okay, so this is what I need. So this is what I should have been doing. Because ever since I started to take this new leap of faith, all this positive stuff has been going on because I chose to do this. So sometimes you just have to step out on like, this isn't my norm, but some odd, canny way, the norm doesn't feel right anymore, you know? What was doesn't now work. And that's okay, because that's how change happens. You guys know about the change curve. There's like all the different stages of like change and stuff like that, and like adapting to change. Like, I was in denial for so long of like, not do I need to change, but like, this is the thing I have to go through to change. This is the change. This was the change I needed to make, and I was happy. You know, I'm very satisfied after I've changed my way of thinking about a lot of things. I understand what I need now as a person. So, I mean, if you're struggling or if you're curious about patterns, an app, if you're a visual, wanting to see some visuals, there's an app called Pattern App. Let me find it on here, and I'm going to show it to you guys. It's called The Pattern. Can you guys see that? Oops, my bad. Sorry. But it's called The Pattern, right in this blurb. Wow, so you don't even want to open up for me? Okay. There it is, right there. The Pattern. Looks like a little swirly, literally like the swirlies, tornadoes. Yeah, looks like a little tornado swirly. That is a really interesting like jumpstart kickoff. It uses astrological data to suggest what your patterns may be. You know yourself well enough to understand how accurate this is to you. It definitely touches on some points for me, and revolving my vocational skills and relationship patterns, but it's just an interesting eye-opener to that. Now, a lot of these are going to be things that you probably already realize that you have a habit of doing, and I think the really amazing part about that is that you're able to stop, take a second, and be like, that has been hindering me. Damn. It's like the aha moment. That's how it was for me. That app was like a, oh, shit. Oh. I have been letting things limit me a little bit. I have a little bit. Just a little bit. It's okay. But it made it really easy for me to accept it, and it was really easy for me to see it explained in that way. And also gave me, I love to journal, so it gave me points to use in that app to like journal on my own. So I was able to take some of those and then relate it to my actual life circumstances and then journal through some of them. I don't know if that's how other people use the app. I use it that way. I really like it. It has helped me progress in life. Not necessarily the app itself, but just the questions that it brings up about vocational relationships, friendships, life, etc. I'm able to take that app and then journal throughout and see what patterns it actually says astrologically that I could potentially have. But I really enjoy it personally. I don't believe that an app is necessarily going to tell you exactly how you are, but I think that it's definitely good for you to open that dialogue up in your mind and just ask yourself, like, is there any validity to that? Let me go journal about this. Hold on. And I found, like, oh my God, some of this stuff is yeah. You Pattern App, you might have a little bit of a point. You might have a point. You guys know I'm an astrology nerd anyway. I know I was supposed to come on here and do a Leo get ready with me. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I wasn't in the headspace to do my makeup very creatively today, and I did not want to come in and bring you guys some half ASS video. So I would prefer to do that for you next week in the thickness of Leo season. So look for me next week. I'm going to be doing a get ready with me, talking about Leos and Leo season and welcoming the baddies into the place. Hello. So that's just been my experience with patterns and how they can be limiting and hindering. And so if you're thinking about what you've been doing and it's the same and you're experiencing deja vu in your life and situations, but their people are different, you might be in a karmic pattern with yourself and with your life. So thank you guys so much for listening. That's going to conclude our episode today. I will see you guys next week on Wednesday. Go get this water and let me know in the comments what you guys think. The Smart Water Watermelon Mint, so bomb. So bomb. Anyway, I will chat with you guys later. Your girl has got some reads to do. for a couple of clients. If you are interested in any of my read services, links down below. Private message me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. All my stuff is below in the little Insta bio link. So I will see you guys later, and I appreciate you all for listening to me. See you guys next time. Bye.